Hi everyone, LazyFire here. Welcome back to Star Wars Republic Commando, and I have a guest with me today.
It's SubponticatePoster.
Yes, SubponticatePoster. She is currently doing a Mass Effect 1 LP, and so you should really go watch that because, let's face it,
It's much
Mass
better than
Effect.
playing it yourself.
Yeah, that. God. The thing about Mass Effect in this game, it's actually kind of interesting because BioWare started developing the Mass Effect series around the time this was being developed because they weren't able to get the license to do another Star Wars RPG.
Right.
Yeah, but you'd never actually played or even heard of this game before.
No, I haven't. It was just kind of in that window when I didn't really have a PC that was capable of doing anything at all, and I think I had a. When was this released? 2000.
Can we open these up?
Four, yeah, 2004.
Yeah, so I had a PlayStation 2, but that's it.
Yeah, and this game only came out for the Xbox and the PC, so
Right.
it's oddly oh boy, it's oddly well loved for how limited the audience was because it was actually a pretty PC intensive game for the time.
Yeah, I checked into your thread, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, I love this game. It was such a great game, and I really liked playing it." And yeah, I'm like, I never fucking heard of it at all.
Yeah, it was one of those things that was just I don't know why it only came out for the Xbox and the PC. I think part of it was because the PC and the Xbox had pretty similar architecture.
Right, a lot easier to do one than port it over to the two.
Yeah, that's why KOTOR came out for the Xbox and the PC as well, I believe. But it might have just been a LucasArts preference for all I know. But yeah, it's one of those games that if you played it, you most likely loved it. And if you didn't play it, then you probably never even heard of it. Like, it's just one of those things. I love how the Wookiee's tanking 2 shots so far. Me with the crossbow, and just then with the scavenger droid.
It was just this big walking slab of meat.
Yeah.
I
It's
remember
great.
Wookiees being a little more dainty as far as tall and thin as opposed to bricks of meat with hair on them.
This is something that like everybody I've talked to about this game has said, because it's absolutely true. Wookiees in every video game you see them in, like go and play the first KOTOR game where they went to Kashyyyk, and they are these massive fucking walls of flesh and fur, and then in the movie, in Star Wars, Chewbacca is like tall and slender, and then I think they did a pretty good job in The Force Awakens of making him a bit bigger. Like, I don't know if they just like if Peter Mayhew packed on the pounds or what the hell happened, but he looked a lot bigger this time around, which I think was probably more in line with how the movies are supposed to be. You ever see the art that kind of inspired a lot of this stuff? This guy Ralph McGuire. Or McGuire, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. He did all these, like the all the drawings for the Star Wars like art.
Like the concept stuff.
Yeah, and Wookiees used to be like giant, like just trolls that had hair. And I guess that wasn't really realistic. With
I was gonna say,
technology
probably in
at the time.
practice that was just a pain in the ass to pull off. Where they're like, how do we, take an above average size human and make them even bigger without hiring Andre the Giant, more or less.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the things like Jabba the Hutt, where it was 3 people, working him, and he was a giant puppet, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, really the biggest and most complex thing they could do, and that's when they had millions of more dollars to do it. So...
Yeah, and it's one of those where I guess maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I really like practical effects like that as opposed to CGI everything.
Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people liked Force Awakens, because it did use a lot of practical effects, and while it did mix in a lot of CGI, it looked just nice in general. It didn't look like this... the way I describe it is early Pixar animation, like Toy Story 1 is the way I would describe the Phantom Menace looking.
Yeah, it's not all that great, but, again, a lot of people just pretend that 1 through 3 didn't.
Yeah.
We know a story, but that's it. We didn't actually see those movies, or at least we've tried to blank out the fact that we did see those movies.
Delta Squad.
And right there, we should have blanked out the fact that I got murdered.
By a tree branch.
No, it wasn't the tree branch.
Oh.
It was there's a guy who comes through there, and he absolutely fucked me because I didn't know he was going to be there because this game starts throwing trap enemies at you. But, you know, whatever. The thing about this game is that you always end up playing it like a fast and loose arcade game. And what you should really be doing is, at these later stages, playing it more like a Rainbow Six game, expecting the game to just throw shit at you that you had no way of predicting.
Ready to destroy.
So I get caught in that trap a couple times in these videos. As a matter of fact, I cut this video where I did because I remembered. It's been so long since I played this game, but I remembered the next section after this video as being the most painful thing in the world, to the point where I honestly thought it was the last video. Like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, no, it's gotta be the last section of the game. No, it is far from it. There's like 6 more videos. That's how intense it can get at the end. Which I think is to the game's credit.
Right, as long as it, you know, they don't make it like needlessly stupid. Challenging sections the further on you get are better just because you've improved at the game, you kind of know what you're doing better, you know, and unlike some games where you just keep leveling up and leveling up and leveling up, and by the end of the game, even if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, it's just a fucking cakewalk.
Yeah, and this is the guy that killed me earlier. Yeah, one of the things, and I've mentioned it to you before, is that this game does not let you level up. Like, there's no leveling up. The weapons you get are basically the weapons you start with. By the time you're done with the tutorial mission, you have all the guns in the game, save for the indigenous weapons like this one that I'm picking up here. So you're not really getting anything as you go on. You're just you just have to get better and be smarter about your placement of your team.
And then there's nothing wrong with that again, because they're assuming that you've been at least a little bit of attention.
Yeah, in a lot of games you can kind of brute force the ending and just like go, okay, I'm just gonna get lucky and save scum my way through this. Completely impossible in this game. If you don't do things right, you're gonna get fucked. So it's almost like a memorization puzzle to a degree.
Heal up.
But it's still really fun. Like, I don't want to discount that fact, and I know that you and I had talked about it earlier, and it's like, I had very clearly been playing a lot of this.
Yeah, you're like, I may not be having fun at the moment, but I usually have fun.
Yeah, there is this whole thing about it, because I had just, when you and I talked about it, I had recorded about a day earlier just this absolutely brutal section of the game where I was using just the plasma pistol, the infinite ammo weapon that you use when you're done with all other weapons, had no grenades, and was just trying to get through. I was like sacrificing team members to try to take out droids. It was nuts.
They don't know we can see in the dark.
Like I said, the game gets absolutely difficult, and I think it's to its credit that it's still playable at that difficulty, but it's just it can be very frustrating when you're like, even if I tried to go back to the previous save, I'm gonna get fucked on this.
Yeah, it's not like cheating your way through it. You're gonna have to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
It's live. Get some distance.
But yeah, it's one of those things. And honestly, you think about it, this is a game that was built to capitalize on the popularity of games like Halo and Metroid Prime. Neither of those games really did anything like this game. You know, you didn't really have a squad in the first Halo game. You could get your Marines to follow you around. You didn't have teammates in the first couple Metroid Primes, and I think the closest comparison is really, at the end of the day, Rainbow Six. And even that is a completely different game than this. So it's difficult to like say, well, just like in this game or just like in that game, it's, you know, the build up to it is, the build up to the end game is just more like, get good, you scrub.
Always good advice.
Yeah. But you can see how little damage I can take standing out in the open for any length of time. At the end of the game, the enemies all start doing, I think, like at least 3/4 damage more than they were previously. It's hard to justify or tell because some enemies will start shooting much faster and much more accurately than they had before. So it's not just we're throwing enemies at you in this like crazy configuration. We're also throwing more accurate, more deadly enemies at you all the time. So it's kind of nuts to that degree.
Cancel maneuver, Delta.
I mean, think about it in terms of like Mass Effect, though, where like the Mass Effect games, when you get to the end game, you're still fighting a lot of the same enemies you were fighting earlier on.
Oh, you're just curb stomping them because
Yeah.
your equipment and everything and your skills have leveled up so much.
Yeah, and they kind of do the same thing
could use
here,
a hole here,
but
Delta.
they just,
Confirmed. Setting
I want
charge.
to say that they expect you to have kind of mastered the mechanics instead of
And
having
yeah,
skills.
that's absolutely fair.
Yeah. I'm just trying to... Like, it's difficult to describe the way the difficulty works in this game, simply because, like, when you think about most modern games, or you think about most games in general, that it's not how those work.
Those flavors get close.
But, yeah, fun times. Also, I have a sword in my arm, if you may have noticed.
Run around shanking bitches.
Hell yeah. It's not a one-hit kill, which is always interesting. Especially against, on these guys, it is a one-hit kill, but against some enemies, it's like 3 or 4 hits. And a couple of enemy types, I would suggest never trying it on.
This is a bad idea.
It is.
Take them out
I would
from
not
there,
believe how much of a bad idea. One of the things, though, that drives me absolutely nuts about the squad AI, which is one of the most praised parts of this game, was the squad AI, is that they will, at times, absolutely and utterly avoid doing anything to keep themselves alive.
Give us hitting weapon.
They're smart. That is really good AI. Fuck you. I'm not doing that.
Before they kill you.
Yeah. The great example is if you direct your squad to fight against, say, a giant battle droid thing, they will, if they're not associated with any position on the map like they are right now in these 3
Let's
spots,
move on.
they will actually just go up and try to melee it or shoot it from point-blank range.
Retrieving it, sir.
And you're just sitting there going, you guys, this is bad. And that's what gets me in trouble in a later video. Picking up another indigenous weapon and another one. It's I like that's the shotgun right there. I think I use it like once this video, and I just really like the idea of the shotgun, like the
Average
space
video
shotgun.
game shotgun.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent shotgun. It doesn't work on droids. That's kind of the interesting flashback myself. The interesting thing about the guns in this game is that each one of them, the ones you can pick up from enemies, anyways, they all have like different strengths and weaknesses, and certain ones are really great against some enemies and terrible against others. And I think that's a really interesting idea. Instead of giving you like the gun,
super gun.
Yeah, the gun I'm picking up off this guy here is fantastic against his own people, but absolute shit against droids. Same thing with the shotguns. Yeah, but there's no like be-all end-all weapon you pick up in this game, save for maybe the
Pack it
concussion
up,
rifle.
Delta.
And I do love the if you look at the dial there, right below the numbers on the gun, that's your ammo. That's like telling you how depleted your ammo is.
Sit to spend before
Absolutely love little details like that in the game. Instead of giving you like an overall ammo count in the bottom right corner, they give you that. But we have more mines, and you can see my caution level is a little higher.
unless crouch. Keep your distance.
Those mines,
just in case.
when they come up, are absolutely fucking brutal, and I've walked into more of them than I'd care to admit. Yeah,
These things happen.
We need to hold
they
that
do,
span
and
or it's gonna be a nightmare for the
unfortunately, it's mostly because I don't pay attention. I just rush blindly ahead like a moron. But hey, the only thing that bugs me is that you don't get to
Let's
keep
use this
mines.
clear line of
If
fire.
you defuse them, you can't like place them back down to cover your back or something.
Yeah, that's kind of stinky. You're like, I put this thing up, diffused it. Surely I can reuse it.
enemy down.
I wish there was like, if they put like a status effect on a mine, similar to Knights of the Old Republic, where you can pick up
Begin
mines
snipe
or
maneuver
bombs
down.
or anything like that, and you get them in your inventory,
Sir.
and you could actually place them back down, or you could break them down into core components. Kind of wish you could do that in this game, and just like get a couple thermal detonators out of something if you defuse the right mine. Really would have been useful, especially later in the game when you basically do not find grenades for a good half hour. Whatever. I'll survive.
Shoot him. Shoot him.
Yeah, when they get the knives out like that, they gain health. They can start just tanking shots.
Let's do this quietly, Delta.
We'll need some cover here.
And so what I tried to do here was keep 2 guys on windows sniping and have 1 guy hack. But one of the guys, because this happens frequently later in the game, and people are going to see it a lot, is if you happen to have, say, a couple positions, like the one that the guy was on at that window I just looked at, you may have people on positions, they will abandon them, and the positions become unavailable after you've hit a certain goal. In earlier levels of the game, that doesn't really happen all that often, if ever. But here it happens pretty frequently, because everything's very linear, whereas the Prosecutor and some of the other maps are a bit
More open.
Yeah, they're not, I wouldn't say open, but they're a bit more complex. And so I think it's actually based on hitting triggers, right? And
Initiate vector procedures, Delta.
it looks like if you hit certain triggers, that they'll just, the points will disappear. But because there was backtracking in those other missions, it looks like they just decided not to have any triggers on that. So your guys will just abandon positions in this map, like, at random, and it might screw you over.
Fuck it up.
Yeah, because they use more powerful weapons when they're in those positions. And so by them stepping away, they take away those powerful weapons from that position, and you might be fucked. I think I also get shot in the back here at some point.
Slavers. Ah!
Yeah, oh no, that was a shotgun blast. Alright. Your guys can hurt you, and you can hurt them. And they'll actually comment on it if you happen to shoot.
Fire is on.
That just happened too.
Shanked in the back of the head.
With his own knife. Not even with the cool vibroblade. Actually, I don't think if your guys melee somebody like that, they all have these animations, but
Now
the
ready.
I'm trying to snipe this guy, but I just fucking stab.
Sir. It was a pleasure.
They don't. They have the vibroblade too, the little thing in your hand, but they never use it. I don't know why that they would just like create all these animations, but not show them just straight stabbing a guy.
Sir, nice
Like
job.
they went to all the trouble and then didn't really bother.
Yeah. Like they always end up using someone else's knife, or they just like punch guys to death or something like that. You're just like, really, you added this really cool thing. Why don't you just have your guy, you know,
On my way.
the other commandos use it?
Use it.
What I really liked about this game, and I'm going to come back to this a couple times in the next few videos especially, is that while it's definitely a movie tie-in game, it doesn't really tie into the movies all that much. Yeah, you're playing clone troopers in the, you know, prequel trilogy era, but you're barely ever touching on anything from the movies. You do see
Yeah, it's more
general,
of like a license game as opposed to, what do you want to call it, a story or a canon game or something like that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what they really needed to do more of. And it's too bad that they finally figured that out and then had to close the studio and all that shit. But thank you for joining me, Subponticate.
Well, thanks for having me, and
We're activating that
see you again soon.